Welcome everyone to this week's video. Today we are on Herp Monday number 48 and we have a good one for you today. Today's Herp is a Herp that one of its nicknames is actually the guardian of one of the ancient Greek gods. So you know this animal is going to be interesting with a nickname like that. Today's Herp that we are going to be talking about is the yellow spotted goanna. So the yellow spotted goanna, or the yellow spotted monitor, scientific name Varanus Panoptus. Again, that is Varanus Panoptus. It is part of the family Varanidae, which is the family of monitor lizards, as you expect, and is very closely related to the Komodo dragon. There are 3 subspecies of this lizard, but I bring this up because they are known to be in different locations. You have one that's sort of Midwest on the continent, mid-northwest. Then you have one on the north side of Australia, like the extreme north, and then you have one on southern New Guinea. So 3 different subspecies. And as you can imagine, since they lived across such a large area, they live in a vast variety of biomes and habitats, just completely different. It's crazy what they'll be found in. But they are primarily terrestrial and spend most of their time actually in a burrow. Either one they dig themselves, by the way, I should mention they are avid diggers, or they'll take over an existing burrow. They do forage in trees, and they do love to forage in water as well. They can be found basically anywhere, but from the research I've found, it seems to be that they like to be in sort of your riparian area, which is the transitional land between your river and your uplands. They are a large lizard, but they're not exactly like monstrous lizard. They're definitely not the largest monitor, as you should well know. But your size is actually where you can tell where the sexual dimorphism is in this species. The males actually grow significantly larger than females. Females average about 90 centimeters, which is about 3 feet long. Here in this next picture, you'll see the same monitor. So females will average about 3 feet long, whereas males will average 120 to 150 centimeters, so 4 to 5 feet. So I would imagine that this is a male. If you can't tell from this picture, it's not as bulky as the other monitors. If you've seen pictures of Komodo dragons, these are a lot slimmer, a lot leaner. They're just not as, big and beefy as the other monitors. They are yellowish in color, as you can imagine, with this sort of tannish background, which really blends in well to the Australian sands. And then they have these large, dark spots that appear in rows along its back, with these paler spots interspersed. And then you have this banding on the tail with the little eye spots on there. And the reason why I bring this up, and we haven't talked about the nickname. Well, one of the nicknames for this herp is the Argus monitor. And Argus was the protector of a couple of Greek gods in ancient Greek mythology. So you can imagine that, with this many eyes, Argus had eyes all throughout his body, so he could watch every direction at once. And this monitor has all these eye spots around here. Now it does have these big beefy front legs though, because that's where it's kind of digging, is where it's going to be. In terms of prey and how they hunt, they basically eat everything. We talked about how they are found in every variety of habitat. Well, that's because they eat basically anything. They love to eat fish, they love to eat crabs, small birds, rodents, insects, monitors. I mean, they hunt for prey everywhere, and they key in on movement. So kind of like the T-Rex from Jurassic Park. and to kind of keep their eyes on things, and also to keep them wary of predators, because one of the things that eats yellow spotted monitors is other yellow spotted monitors. So what they can do, they'll do a tripod stance, which allows them to see things. You see here, so they're looking around, and they can run extremely fast, trying to get to a tree or a burrow nearby for it to hide from there. And kind of speaking on the burrows, that's where our interesting fact is going to be today. So there's not a, well, first I should mention, before we get to the interesting fact, because remember, the interesting fact is the final part of the video. These, in terms of how these animals are, they are available in the pet trade. I found them for about $200. I'm just gonna say, feels like I say this every video. Be aware of what you're buying. These things do get big. They're not the biggest monitor, but you do need a large enclosure for them. They are not a beginner lizard pet. Just gonna say that. So that's number one. Number two, in terms of how they're doing, they actually are doing relatively okay in terms of population numbers. However, one of the biggest issues with this is that they're actually in trouble from an invasive species of Australia called the cane toad. So the cane toad was brought over for biological control measures, and it was a disaster. And they spread out, and cane toads have a very large poisonous glands in their body. And so these monitors, all they see is a frog or a toad, which they're used to eating. So they go over and bite it, and they try to ingest that. Well, the cane toads ingest so much venom that it's a bad effort. And a lot of these have died from poisonings. So that's interesting in itself, but it is causing an issue with these. There is a bunch of captive breeding programs. There's a bunch of these in zoos. So it's estimated, by the way, that the cane toad dropped the yellow spotted iguana's numbers by as much as 90% in many areas. Something else I guess we should talk about real quick. I promise you we're getting to the interesting fact. The Goanna was the lizard from the movie Rescuers Down Under. I did not realize that. Now that I heard that, the name of that lizard was Goanna. I mean, other people in the world might have known. It took me until doing research for this species that I realized this. So now we're at the interesting fact. So the interesting fact about this is for a very, very long time, no one knew how these monitors nested. Open something real quick, sorry. No one knew how these nested. It was assumed that they were in burrows, sort of like this one here. And obviously, yes, most monitors land in burrows. However, they could never find them. And so scientists recently, when I say recently, I'm talking about like in 2020, 2021, they were digging for these, and they just decided to continue digging and continue digging and continue digging until finally they got all the way down to these, to the eggs, way at the bottom here, which were at a depth that were just not even thought of possible. They just actually didn't think that they laid them this deep. I need to look up something really quick okay. Most reptiles bury their eggs less than a foot from the surface. So let me treat. So this nest they extend anywhere from 7 to 13 feet down. And you can see they actually go in this corkscrew pattern. It's not just a straight down, it's actually a corkscrew pattern. And it's so deep, and scientists believe that it's that deep so that it can save moisture, because the gestation period of the eggs is actually a really long time, possibly up to 8 months, which will go through an entire dry season cycle. So it might be they have to dig that deep to actually be in soil that retains its moisture through a dry period. Something else that's interesting about this is when the eggs hatch, a lot of times when things hatch out of burrows, they follow the mother's burrow the entire way up. Turns out the Goanna young go straight up, which is quite a feat. You know, think about it. Baby turtles, yes, they have to dig themselves out of the nest, but they have to go less than a foot, and it's relatively soft sand. These young have to go straight up. There's only 8 of them, and they're going straight up into very compacted soil. They're not going through the burrow. So that's really, really interesting. So, but once again, thank you guys so much again. I really appreciate it. Hope to see you again. If I don't, please be safe. Have a great day. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your loved ones. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you do. I'd really appreciate it. Hope to see you again. Sorry this one was so unorganized. I promise we'll be doing better. But take care of yourselves, take care of your loved ones, and